Once you cut through all the noise and cut through all the propaganda and cut through all the ad copy, it's actually quite simple. Listen to your body. Is it telling you you're hungry? Then ultimately, listen to your body. If it's telling you you don't really want any more egg yolks, you probably had enough fat today. I don't need more bacon. You probably had enough fat, for at least this part of the day. Same goes for protein. Oh, I'm afraid I'll eat too much protein on this carnivore diet. And this is the same thing. A half gallon of protein shake a day. But they're worried they might get too much protein if they eat all this meat, eggs, and fish, right? And it's just like we've been trained to be ignorant when it comes to human nutrition. And that's part of my mission, is to just say, hey, your body's got this. And I'll also ask people, how many times did you breathe in the last minute? And they're uniformly like, I mean, should I be tracking that? Do I need to know that? Immediately like, oh God, another thing to track. Now I'm like, no, I was being sarcastic. You don't have to track how many times you breathe a minute. Your body's got that. It doesn't need any help from you. You can consciously control your breathing, but it's going to be bad for you if you do that. It's going to hurt you. You'll either hyperventilate or hypoventilate, and then you'll be in trouble. What about how many times your heart beat in the last 60 seconds? Do you know? And a lot of people are tracking that, and they literally do try to reach in to their physiology and do something about that. It's like, stop it. Shut up. Back away from the Apple Watch or the ordering. You cannot control any of that. If you eat a proper human diet and you get proper human sleep and live a proper human life, your body is auto-tuned for all of that stuff, including your hunger, your appetite, and your satiety, and what nutrients. All of that stuff is programmed in your DNA. You don't need any of that stuff that often costs hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Sorry, I know I just caused a couple of bankruptcies and caused some stock prices to fall. But I'm sorry. I'm here for people's human health, not for the health of the economy.
You took that question in a different direction, and I'm happy you did, because that's important to go to the upper limit as well. But the way I was coming at it was from under getting enough fat in the diet. So people that might come into this eating chicken breast, eating the ground meat that's low fat, talk about how they're doing that and not getting enough fat the other way, that can be a problem.
Oh, it's a huge problem. That's the predominant problem for people who are eating more meats or trying a carnivore diet. They are going to undereat fat. That's just going to happen. That is the most common problem, I think, for most people trying a carnivore diet. And the way that's going to manifest itself is you're going to have fatigue. You're going to be draggy. You're going to feel like, I've got no energy. I just have no energy. And that's because when you adopt a meat-heavy ketogenic diet, or a ketonure diet, or a high-fat carnivore diet, you're going to shift away from being a sugar burner. Now, this is another aspect of physiology that doesn't get talked about enough, and most doctors have no idea that there's a second input that humans can use, and that's ketones and fatty acids and triglycerides. There are very few cells in the human body that can't burn ketones with food, or triglycerides or fatty acids, depending on the cell type. And there's literally a short list that you can almost list on one hand of cell types that cannot use that. They have to have glucose. There's some in the human testicle, some in the human ovary. All the red blood cells have to have glucose, and then there may be a few cells in the human eye and the human brain that need glucose. But your body can make that glucose anytime you need it, right? And so the vast majority of people have this just beat into their unconscious fear and the fat. And so they're like, okay, I'll try this. And so they're doing carnivore with skinless chicken breast and with pork chops that they've trimmed every single bit of the fat off of it. Because they just can't eat bacon. It's got too much fat. You can see the strips of fat in a piece of bacon, right? And they're eating eggs now, but they're like, I eat 6 eggs, but I'm going to wait for eating yolks. But that's so fat, I don't know. But that's not how you carnivore. You will not be successful because you will have such a lack of energy. Your skin will suffer, your hair will suffer. You're going to be miserable. human beings are lipivores, meaning fat lovers. Some of the very first paleoanthropological research I read was by a lady whose name was Jessica. I forgot her last name, but she's at Stanford or Harvard, paleoanthropologist, and she said that we now pretty much know that the first animal foods that innovate was the brains and the bone marrow of previously killed large animals. And so lions or a hyena would make a large kill, and they would eat all the lean meat and whatever entrails they wanted. And then we would either just sit and wait for them to go take a nap, or we would do later figure out how to scare them away with a group of 10 or 20 of us. And then we would take very large rocks, and we could crack open the humerus and the femur and the calvarium and get to the brains and the bone marrow, which are almost pure fat. So even the largest saber-toothed tiger could not crack open the skull of a big bison or see a big kid. It could not crack open the large bones, the humerus or the femur, and get to the marrow. And the marrow and the brains stay fresh and edible for days after that animal is killed. And we figured that out because we're tinkerers. We're always messing around and checking stuff out and trying new stuff, right? And so we figured that out. And that probably thanks to our ancestors doing that is why we have this large fat-filled brain, because now we had access to this wonderful, delicious source of fat that we had never had access to before. And so then we later started hunting and killing these animals ourselves as we developed the luxury to do so. And now we are this modern Homo sapiens sapien. And so anybody who's going to try keto, or carnivore, you want to eat the animal fat that comes with the meat that you're eating, and you most likely need to cook the meat in animal fat, and you most likely need to cook the animal fat, aka butter, on top of the meat after you've cooked it. Then and only then you can be eating as much fat as your body is craving, as much fat as your brain needs, as much fat as all of your internal organs need for optimal health, which is obviously very
I'm glad you went to the piece of adding fat on. That's where I was going next. Other than putting butter on steak, over steak like you mentioned, any other ways of upping that fat through water, tallow, butter?
So you're never again going to buy 90-10 ground beef or 85-15 ground beef. You're going to buy the worst you're going to buy is 80-20. And if you have access to a meat department manager or a butcher, you're going to ask them to make you a 70-30 grind, 70% lean, 30% fats, because that's going to give you about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. Okay? That's the sweet spot for most people need to start. Some people need more fat than that. But for anybody, the 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio is going to be a great place to start. A stick of bacon is about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. And egg yolk, not the whole egg, but just the yolk is about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. There are many dietitians out there, Jesse, who are like, oh no, the yolk's pure fat. No, it's 1-to-1 fat to protein in just the yolk.
I'm going down the stairs.
Then it's a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 protein with fat ratio. And so anything like that, I'm going to eat a dozen eggs, and I'm probably going to throw away 5 or 6 of the whites. So that I don't that fat intake up. I'm going to cook probably 2 pounds of 70-30 with beef, and I'm going to cook that in bacon grease. And then I'm probably going to put the butter on top of that. So I'm going to 2 pounds of ground beef and a dozen egg yolks and 6 egg whites with the butter on top. That's going to be how I bring my pasta to that. And I encourage everybody else, never throw away yolk, never trim the fat off the meat that comes if you're eating a steak or a pork chop. If you're going to eat poultry, eat the legs and thighs with the skin on. Do never, for the rest of your life, eat a skinless chicken breast. If so, we can't be friends. That's all.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
Dispel the myth that keto or carnivore is some bad diet. This is literally the oldest diet known to humanity. It cannot be bad for you because the four things that humans have been doing for the longest period of time.
Okay. No problem, bro. Bro. Okay, bro. Okay na, tama na yun. It's been cooked long enough. Okay. Boy. Just gonna shut up. I'ma shut up. I'ma shut up. Ooh. Okay na yun. That's enough. Bro. Okay. Let's go now. We are eating now. Oops. Okay. That is good. Just like we're finished.